Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today we are collaborating with Damini Mahajan, who is the CEO and co-founder of this Indian startup WeMakeScholars, which is solely focused on providing scholarships as well as education and loans to Indian students, to the students who want to pursue their dream abroad and study in UK, Australia, Canada, US, whatever the country is. She's going to help you, and today I'm going to interview her with all due respect, and she has answered all your questions and cleared all your doubts. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and like this video, because this video is going to be super important and efficient for you guys to plan and to get a blueprint for yourself to study abroad. And without any further bullshit, guys, let's get into the So thank you Damini for coming in my channel. I really was excited about this collaboration. So सबसे पहले मैं आपसे आपके background के बारे में पूछना चाहता हूँ कि what's your educational background? What did you do and how you landed up being the co-founder of this huge startup there in India, WeMakeScholars? Just tell me about it.
Sure, Aniket. So I'm very excited to share my story, in this session. And as you also want to be an entrepreneur, I'm sure people who are watching it, some of them might want to be an entrepreneur. So let me just share my story on, from a student to a co-founder of a startup. So I actually went to UK for my master's in 2012, which was like a decade ago, and I got a full scholarship for my masters. It covered my tuition fee, it covered my living expenses, उसके लिए मुझे stipend मिलता था, and मेरी flight की cost, visa fees, सब कुछ scholarship provider ने cover किया था. And काफ़ी students, they started asking me कि how did you get such a full, large scholarship, ऐसी कहाँ से मिलती है, how do you apply, how do you find it. तो इतने सारे questions को answer करने के लिए I started a Facebook group. So that was the start of my entrepreneurial journey, even though it sounds something very simple. तो एक Facebook group हमने बनाया, and we used to answer questions of people about scholarships, and that group grew like a wildfire. By the time 8 months into the group, and I completed my 1-year masters, and the group had about like 50,000 people. So I think all those people then, we felt that it was a need which we were solving, and we realized that there are not scholarships platform, there are not many out there who are providing comprehensive information. So that was the reason we came back from UK and started up in India, because of course visa issues and वो सब था कि UK में you cannot kind of be an entrepreneur. So came back to India 2015, started WeMakeScholars.com. The idea of WeMakeScholars.com was very simple, that a platform for students to find scholarship information. So उसके बाद हमें गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से फंडिंग मिली, बिकॉज ये कॉज वॉज लिटिल टूवर्ड्स सोशल इम्पैक्ट, तो हमें उसके लिए फंडिंग मिली. एंड देन टूवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ 2016 वी started getting many inquiries for education loans also. People were like कि scholarship नहीं मिलता है तो क्या करें. And then people started complaining कि banks के पास जाते हैं तो banks will be like नहीं देंगे education loan, नहीं मिलेगा आपको, नहीं मिलेगा ये वो. तो मतलब पहले मुझे तो ऐसा लगता था कि banks तो loans easily दे देते होंगे, because that's their bread and butter, and that's what they survive on. But that was not the reality, and Indian banking system काफ़ी references और इन सब चीज़ों से चलता है. तो then we realized कि नीडी स्टूडेंट्स को हेल्प करने के लिए, जो एक्चुअली मतलब स्टडीज़ के लिए सीरियस हैं पर उनके कोई कॉन्टैक्ट्स नहीं है बैंक में, समवन शुड बी देयर, एंड दैट लुक लाइक अ लार्ज इनफ प्रॉब्लम टू सॉल्व. एंड दैट्स हाउ वी started helping people with education loans also. Started with government banks like SBI, Bank of Baroda वगैरह, जहाँ पे ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम होती है, and then we added on private banks and NBFCs also. So as of now, what WeMakeScholars stands for is helping students with the financing bit for their study abroad. So scholarship and education loan, and that's what we do. And we are based out of Hyderabad, even though we help students from across the country. We have about 150 members team here at Hyderabad. So I think we are doing our bit to help people.
Definitely it's a huge job. And so as you say that the main agenda of the WeMakeScholars company is to make the search of scholarships easy, right? Students should get the search of scholarships very easy, very handy. And so I wanted to ask you, many students ask me this as well, what are the main subcategories or the categories of scholarships? What are the main segregations? Can you just speak about it? The main categories of scholarships the students can opt for? Yeah.
Okay. So, Aniket, I think people, when they are applying for scholarship, the first thing they need to understand is that the scholarship can come from like various sources. I think that is first sort of categorization which they have in their mind. So, a lot of people, they only look at university website. उनको लगता है कि now admission मिल गया, वो university की website में जो scholarships हैं, that is the only thing they can apply for. But that's actually not the full story. So, only 50% of the scholarships are offered by universities. And अगर मैं specifically Canada वाले students के लिए बात करूँ तो if they are going to colleges, which 80% of the Indian students go to, colleges will have very rare, very less scholarship for international students, because mostly those are community colleges primarily focused on the local students in terms of if they have to provide funding. ठीक है, तो यूनिवर्सिटीज़ की भी अगर मैं बात करूँ तो भी 50% ऑफ द स्कॉलरशिप्स आर ओनली ऑफर्ड बाय यूनिवर्सिटी. द रिमेनिंग 50% कम्स फ्रॉम अदर डिफरेंट सोर्सेज. वो गवर्नमेंट स्कॉलरशिप्स हो सकती हैं, इंडियन गवर्नमेंट की, जो वो स्टूडेंट्स को MHRD की वेबसाइट पे इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगी, या तो वो कैनेडियन गवर्नमेंट, कई बार होते हैं गवर्नमेंट्स के कुछ टाइप्स चल रहे होते हैं, जैसे इंडियन गवर्नमेंट हैड विद US गवर्नमेंट ऑल्सो एंड दे हैड दिस नेहरू फेलोशिप, उनके UK गवर्नमेंट के साथ भी है. वैसे ही कनाडा के साथ व्हेन दे अलाइन, समटाइम्स दे लॉन्च scholarship based on that, जो Canadian government की भी हो सकती है for Indian students. And then there are many trusts and foundations and individual philanthropists जो scholarships देते हैं, और वो बहुत ही कम scholarships देते हैं, as in like trust will not be able to fund more than 3 or 5 students. Okay, so because the cost is high and they have to manage as per the donations or things they have. So those trust and foundations will never even advertise their scholarships. So people never come to know कि हाँ भाई ऐसा कोई scholarship exist भी करता है. तो I think the major thing is they should be able to realize that there are different sources of scholarships, and they should be able to discover those scholarships also, which of course they can do on WeMakeScholars platform.
Okay, got it. That's a lot of knowledge. Yeah, students should definitely know about it, and it's very true that in Indian banks reference works a lot. अगर आपका reference है manager से या फिर anyone who is a supervisor at the bank or some official, only then you'll be sanctioned the loan, else नहीं मिलता. I even have faced it, but my dad luckily had contacts, so I got my loan.
Very true. Very true. I mean, Aniket, ये सच्चाई है. मतलब this is the ground reality. I mean, we all have to accept it.
So I easily got the loan, but my subscribers are struggling every day to get a loan for themselves. So next of all, the third question is, what is the major myths about scholarships? Because Indian student का एक basic mentality होता है, अगर मुझे 95% to 100% नहीं मिला, I won't be getting the scholarship first. And second of all, किसी student का ऐसा भी question आया है मुझ पे, मतलब they have asked me कि मैं स्पोर्ट्स पे हूँ तभी क्या मुझे स्कॉलरशिप मिलेगा, अगर मैं स्पोर्ट्स या एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलम पे नहीं हूँ तब क्या मुझे स्कॉलरशिप नहीं मिलेगा. सो व्हाट आर दिस मीथ्स, कैन यू जस्ट क्लियर दिस मीथ्स?
ठीक है, ओके. सो अनिकेत, उसमें ये चीज़ पहले मतलब काफ़ी ज़्यादा मिथ्स होते हैं, जैसे आपने मुझे बताया अभी. सी स्टूडेंट्स को पहली चीज़ ये याद रखनी है कि स्कॉलरशिप्स नीड बेस्ड, मेरिट बेस्ड एंड स्पेशल स्कॉलरशिप इस तरीके में डिवाइड होती हैं. तो जो नीड बेस्ड स्कॉलरशिप होती है वो उन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए होती है प्राइमरली जिनके मतलब फिनेंशियल बैकग्राउंड काफ़ी लेट्स से वीक है. बाय वीक इन इंडिया वी जनरली मीन फैमिली इनकम इज़ लेस देन 6 lakhs per annum और 4 lakhs per annum. वो कैटेगराइज स्पेसिफाई करते हैं डिफरेंट बॉडीज़. तो नीड बेस्ड स्कॉलरशिप होती है फाइनेंशियली वीक के लिए. अब अगर उसमें मेरिट आपका बहुत अच्छा भी है और फैमिली इनकम कम नहीं है तो यू विल नॉट गेट दैट काइंड ऑफ स्कॉलरशिप. बट द सेकेंड कैटेगरी 80% स्कॉलरशिप्स होती है मेरिट बेस्ड में. उसमें क्या होता है, वो आपकी फैमिली इनकम का इनकम सर्टिफिकेट ये सब नहीं मांगते हैं. दैट दे प्राइमरली गिव यू ऑन हाउ गुड यू आर इन योर स्टडीज़. ठीक है, तो उसमें दे एक्चुअली लुक एट योर परसेंटेज. बट नाउ अगेन परसेंटेज जब मैं आपको बोल रही हूँ, आई डोंट वांट टू डिसअपॉइंट पीपल. अगर किसी का 80% है और वो बोले कि हाँ भाई इंडिया में 95 वाले बहुत हैं तो मेरा क्या चांस है, दैट्स नॉट हाउ इट वर्क्स. तो सी स्कॉलरशिप मेरिट बेस्ड में क्या होता है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि ट्रस्ट अगर कोई स्कॉलरशिप ओपन करता है और काफ़ी लोगों को पता ही नहीं होता कि ऐसी कोई स्कॉलरशिप है भी. नाउ द मेरिट बेस्ड कैटेगराइजेशन ओनली वर्क्स ऑन व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ कॉम्पिटिशन इज देयर. तो सी अगर मैं एक ट्रस्ट हूँ एंड आई एम ऑफरिंग लेट्स से 10 स्कॉलरशिप्स, तो मैं टॉप 10 को देना चाहूँगी ओवरऑल अकेडमिक, मतलब 10th में, 12th में, ग्रेजुएशन में, एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर, इंटर्नशिप सब कुछ देख के. बट वो 10 कौन होंगे दैट यू डोंट नो व्हेन यू आर अप्लाइंग. हो सकता है कि उस ट्रस्ट को उतनी अच्छी एप्लीकेशन से ना आए, एंड योर एप्लीकेशन इज़ वन ऑफ द ब्रिलियंट एप्लीकेशंस, ठीक है, इवन तो आपके 80% है बट आपने काफ़ी एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर किया है जो वो ट्रस्ट को बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, तो यू विल गेट इट. सो दैट्स वाई आई ऑलवेज टेल पीपल कि डोंट रिफ्रेन फ्रॉम अप्लाइंग इफ यू थिंक कि ओवरऑल यू आर क्वालिफाइड. ठीक है, आपके 80% हैं या 75% हैं. आई हैव सीन सो मेनी पीपल, आई मीन पीपल हु गॉट स्कॉलरशिप बिसाइड मी. ठीक है, मेरा CGPA ज़्यादा था. आई हैड 9 CGPA इन माई बैचलर्स, बट देन आई डिड नॉट हैड मच ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर. आई मीन एक ही इंटर्नशिप थी. बट मेरे ऐसे मतलब मेरे साथ काफ़ी ऐसे लोगों को मिला जिनकी प्रोफाइल मतलब 7.8 CGPA था, 8.1 CGPA था, बट उनके पास एक्स्ट्रा एड ऑन्स थे, तो दे गॉट अ स्कॉलरशिप. तो दैट्स अनदर थिंग विच पीपल हु आर लुकिंग एट मेरिट स्कॉलरशिप शुड नो. हाँ हाँ. एंड अनदर थिंग इज़ जो स्पोर्ट्स का जैसे आपने मेरे से पूछा, तो देर आर स्पेशल स्कॉलरशिप्स. तो अगर आपका मतलब योर कोर्स इज़ नॉट स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड और योर प्रोफाइल हैड वेरी ब्रिलियंट, इट्स यू प्लेड नेशनल लेवल हॉकी और नेशनल लेवल सम स्पोर्ट, उसके भी स्पोर्ट्स स्कॉलरशिप होती हैं जिसमें ईदर इट कैन बी अ गवर्नमेंट स्कॉलरशिप और ऑफर्ड बाय द यूनिवर्सिटी और एनी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ दैट कंट्री, wherein they want to encourage people who have these sort of extracurricular stars on their profile. तो वैसी स्कॉलरशिप भी होती है and people can find all the kinds of scholarship on our website.
So just telling my audience that whenever you're having any doubts about the scholarship, go to Damini's website, WeMakeScholars. It will clarify all your doubts. And so moving on to the next question quickly. Students को बहुत सारा डाउट होता है कि मैं for an example intake wise doubt, I'm going in September intake to Canada or Jan intake or let's say in the May intake. So intake wise timing के हिसाब से कब scholarships apply करना चाहिए? What's the right time for September intake, right time for Jan and right time for May? तो टाइमिंग्स क्या आप बता सकती हैं?
ओके श्योर. सो अनिकेत आई थिंक ओके ठीक है. तो आई थिंक टाइमिंग एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है. आई थिंक दिस आई टेल इन ऑल माई वीडियोज. सब लोग स्टूडेंट्स को ऐसा लगता है एक बार एडमिशन आ जाएगा, पहले यूनिवर्सिटी को अप्लाई करते हैं, एडमिशन आने के बाद विल थिंक ऑफ स्कॉलरशिप्स, बट दिस इज़ नॉट हाउ इट वर्क्स. काफ़ी ऐसी स्कॉलरशिप होते हैं. अगेन आई एम इंसिस्टिंग ऑन दिस थिंग कि नॉन यूनिवर्सिटी स्कॉलरशिप जो आपको गवर्नमेंट ट्रस्ट या फाउंडेशन से मिलती हैं, उनको आपके एडमिट लेटर की मैंडेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं होती. आई मीन यू कैन अप्लाई फॉर इट. दे वुड look at your previous profile, what you have done till date, what sort of extracurricular track record you have created, and they would offer you a scholarship. And all these bodies have a timeline of about 8-9 months of their approval process, matlab different stages. So they start about 12 months 14 months before the intake start date. They will have deadlines, and then they would do their first round of screening, then second round of interview, and sometimes an exam, entrance exam and things like that also. So students should not wait till the end. As soon as you have this thought ki you should, probably you're planning to go abroad, start looking at scholarships. And I think that's exactly what I did. So when I was in my third year of my BTech, and I decided ki immediately after my BTech I want to go for my MS abroad. Right in the third year, I would say it was April or May, and then I was supposed to go September the next year. I started looking for scholarships, and many of these scholarships had deadline like June, July of the previous year, so which I think is very surprising for most of the students. So that is one thing in terms of timeline. And another thing in terms of resources, I think WeMakeScholars is an excellent platform. वहाँ पे हम सारे तरीके की scholarships we compile and put it. Even though if you ask me individual sources, I think student को जहाँ से हम लेते हैं, I would say you have to go to ministry websites, and you have to go to trust website, foundation website, and now तो we have so many people these scholarship providers who are aware of WeMakeScholars, and they come and put in. But when we started, of course every startup starts small. So at that time we used to go to their websites and take out the information and put it on our web.
So my next question about is like, students are having a huge craze nowadays. Majority of Indian students are coming to Canada specifically, not US, not UK, not New Zealand, Canada. All right. So Canada mein most, as they are lacking finances, they choose PG diploma, 1 year diploma, advanced diploma, or let's say certificate programs as well. But मैं जितना जानता हूँ, one of my subscribers even said me that he went to SBI or let's say HDFC as well. They are not sanctioning loans for PG diploma or certificate programs. So how do solve this issue? Like उनको आना तो है, but loan कैसे मिलेगा?
Okay. सो अनिकेत, वो प्रॉब्लम है इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट बैंक्स टेल पीपल, बट बैंक्स की पॉलिसी के हिसाब से पीजी डिप्लोमा इज़ वेरी मच एक्सेप्टेबल. पीजी सर्टिफिकेट इंस्टीट्यूट के हिसाब से चेक करके हम लोग करवा देते हैं. आई वुड से 50-60% केसेस में पीजी सर्टिफिकेट भी करवा देते हैं, बट डिप्लोमा इज़ लाइक 100%. सो इफ़ दे हैव वेदर सिक्योर्ड और अनसिक्योर्ड ऑल्सो, पीजी डिप्लोमा के लिए अनसिक्योर्ड लोन्स भी मिल रहे हैं ईजिली. बट इट इज़ जस्ट दैट in India, I think that's the mindset. Diploma is something for people who are not very great and who cannot get into a degree. वैसा mindset होता है. तो as soon as they hear diploma, because you have to understand, they have not studied abroad. The people who are working at the bank, right? They are only familiar with Indian education system. So as soon as they hear diploma, they are like, नहीं हम नहीं देंगे लोन, पता नहीं आपको जॉब मिलेगा या नहीं. But that is very much possible. Loans for people who are going for PG diploma or certificate, it is possible, and at very decent interest rates compared to what is being offered for PG degree also. SBI वगैरह में तो interest rate भी same रहता है irrespective of the program. So loan हो सकता है, and if students are facing that issue.
Okay, so if you guys are struggling to take loans for PG diploma or even certificate programs, even if you're having references in bank, then you can approach Damini's website, WeMakeScholars, and they'll sanction you the loan for sure.
Yeah, and I'm just adding there, WeMakeScholars ka Sara services are free, so people should not have that apprehension also that I know someone, let me try that first and then fail and then come here. So you can start with us.
That's amazing. That will be help to a lot of students. So yeah, the next question is, what are the major documents needed to sanction a loan? Because बहुत जन को ITR लेके issues होता है इंडिया में, ITR को, इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न को. तो क्या क्या मेजर डॉक्यूमेंट्स जो चाहिए ही चाहिए टू सैंक्शन अ लोन फॉर देमसेल्फ फॉर एनी पर्टिकुलर प्रोग्राम, डिग्री, डिप्लोमा, पीजी डिप्लोमा, मास्टर्स? कैन यू जस्ट टेल मी दोस?
Okay, so Aniket, now coming particularly as अगर हम ITR की बात करें, okay, let me tell you like the generic requirement. So generic requirement is there will be a set of documents related to the applicant, like उसके academics, 10th, 12th, offer letter, IELTS, TOEFL scorecard, this that, because that is taken as entrance scorecard. So all those academic documents. उसके अलावा होते हैं general KYC documents related to student as well as parent, like उनका passport copy, PAN copy, Aadhaar card if available, and things like that. And then comes the co-applicant's income documents. तो हमेशा बैंक को ये concern होता है. See, of course, education loan में the parameter which is looked at is student's future income, कि वो कैसे कोर्स में जा रहा है, what will be his future income. That is what banks are supposed to look at. But बैंकर्स की माइंडसेट ये होता है कि यार पता नहीं जॉब मिलेगा या नहीं मिलेगा, कंट्री की पॉलिसी चेंज हो जाएगी, तो दे ऑलवेज लुक एट पेरेंट्स इनकम. Now, to evaluate parents' income, one primary thing is ITR, कि कितना ITR फाइल करते हैं, so that they can understand what sort of income they are having. But now there will be cases where parents don't have ITR, but they have, let's say, a good enough business. Income is a little unaccounted. Now जो private banks and NBFCs होते हैं वो जाके इन सब factors को consider करके कई बार लोन दे देते हैं, saying कि हाँ भाई we know that this business is generating this sort of income even though the person is not filing ITR. But public banks में भी ऐसा होता है, they will insist on ITR. नहीं होता है तो समटाइम्स भी हम उनको कन्विंस करवा के वी टेल देम टेक इनकम सर्टिफिकेट विच स्टूडेंट्स कैन ईजिली गेट इट, और टेल देम टू इवैल्यूएट द बिजनेस एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो वी कैन गेट दैट डन. बट अगेन मैं स्टूडेंट्स को यही एडवाइस करूँगी कि अगर पॉसिबिलिटी है, लेट्स से आप अगले साल जाना चाहते हो एंड यू हैव एन ईयर टाइम, तो एक ITR अभी फाइल कर दो, एक आफ्टर 6 months यू फाइल अनदर ITR, एंड ट्राई टू बी ऑन सेफ साइड कि 2 ITRs अगर हैं 2 years के फॉर पेरेंट्स, यू विल बी ऑन सेफ साइड. या
फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल, एक स्टूडेंट को लगता है कि हाँ मेरा लोन तो सैंक्शन हो गया, आई एम ऑल गुड नाउ, बट GIC का अमाउंट भी 6 lakhs होता है. It's a huge amount for many families, many students. So क्या GIC covered होता है? अगर नहीं होता है then how do I like make it an entire package with GIC and with tuition fees?
Even when they go to the bank and say that, hey, I need loan and I want my GIC to be covered, because the GIC comes in as a very upfront cost. See, people feel that, you know, second year ka money, living expenses, they can manage through part-time jobs and all. But in the first year, they have been asked ki you put your entire living expenses in one go, and then you have to put your fees also of 1 year. So I think people, families, even though, you know, they are planning in the long run to manage on their own, or the student is planning to earn money from part-time job and manage, but at this point they get struck because itna zyada cash flow at the start of the process, it becomes little difficult. So many people approach us ki I need fees and GIC ke liye loan. Now when these people go to the bank will be like, I don't know what is GIC, I'm not going to give you funds for that. So that is another thing, that, you know, GIC is nothing but your living expenses of first year, right? So you should not tell the bank that I want GIC, you should tell that I want living expenses. Now usme dusra issue ye aata hai ki people will be like, I need living expenses before which is GIC, before I apply for visa. Now the bank is gonna question, why do you need living expenses before you're flying to Canada? I mean, you don't even have visa. Why should I give you your living expenses? And this is a very common question. I'll tell you, 80% of my students have been asked this question by the bank, that why do you need living expenses before visa? But they don't understand that GIC is a part of the visa process, as in like you have to make that, and then you have to get that certificate, and you have to go for visa. So it is, you know, us who has to convince them. So see, people at the corporate level of the banks, they are a little smarter, and when we told them that this requirement is there, and, you know, Canadian embassy has this put up this sort of mandatory requirement, they added it in their circular. All the banks, I mean, be it SBI, be it Bank of Baroda, PNB, all of them added it in their circular, but the people at the ground level are not aware of it. So they keep torturing students with these unnecessary questions.
That's it, guys. I hope you have enjoyed it, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and like this video, because that's my only motivation, guys. In future में दामिनी महाजन के साथ और भी ज़्यादा collaborations करेंगे. Also, I'm planning to tie up with other popular brands of India who are promoting the study abroad platform for Indian students. हर एक के साथ collaboration करेंगे, information देंगे आप लोगों को. So make sure you're staying tuned to my channel, and till then, stay awesome, stay sexy. I love you guys.